Home prices across the country have defied the steep rise in interest rates and in February hit fresh all-time highs. Would you believe? Ross Greenwood is with me, as he always is on a Friday. Ross, can they keep on going?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? You just really wonder, Pete, because affordability is a big issue, especially for first home buyers right now. These are the latest numbers coming out from REA Group and PropTrack today. And effectively what we can show you is pretty quickly, have a look at this. Sydney in the past month, in February, up 0.5%. Across the country, up by 0.45%. In Melbourne, 0.28%. Brisbane, more than 0.5% as well. We keep going around the country, and you'll see there that, say, for example, the Hobart price is the only one going down. Adelaide is the strongest market in Australia right now.
Wow.
Along with Perth, they're just incredible. But if we go a little bit deeper into this, it's not just those capital city movements. Have a look at this. Have a look at the ACT at 0.49%. But I want to show you regional prices as well. The regional prices are still going nuts. 0.36% across the country for all regional prices is pretty spectacular. And again, here, Queensland, very, very strong.
Yeah.
Rest of South Australia, look at that, strong. So it's not just the capital city prices that are going well at the moment. It is right around the country. WA, not as strong there. The rest of the Northern Territory, not so good. A second thing also to show you is in capital cities, house prices at record levels. In Sydney, 1.05 million. In Brisbane, 797,000. Prices up more than 60% since March in 2020. The rest of the Queensland also up more than 60% in that time. Perth up more than 50% since March 2020. And Adelaide up more than 60, almost 65% since March 2020. So, Pete, this really shows you just the scope of those price rises around the country, and despite all those interest rate rises we saw.
Yeah, Brisbane now drawing level with Melbourne, which is not surprising for me. Coming from Brisbane, it's a great place to live, but still interesting nonetheless. But if this keeps going, Ross, with the housing shortage and builders going bust, the affordability problem for government is just going to get worse, is it not?
Of course it is. And the reason for it is, what do you think is going to happen if interest rates fall? If interest rates fall, these house prices are going to rise. And the second thing is, if you don't build enough houses, house prices are going to rise. If you bring in more population, migration, house prices are going to rise. And that for affordability is going to be a fundamental issue. So it's almost a bit of a pressure cooker that the buyers of homes right now understand, and it is simply squeezing the prices higher and out of reach of those people who right now are either renting, because rents are rising, and on top of that, that then therefore creates inflation. So that's the big issue. Have a look at this, the top median prices. We showed you some of these. Melbourne's the one that's lagged just that little bit. So in those numbers going back until March, while everybody else is up 30%, 50%, 60%, Melbourne is up by only 18% in that period of time. So it's the one that probably has just lagged behind that little bit there.
Okay. So the price of housing is at record levels, but the government is doing an inquiry into supermarket pricing, Ross. And if people have gripes, they now have somewhere to go.
Yeah, well, that's true. It's almost a case of don't look here, look there. So the government is really doing this supermarket thing because guess what? Everybody shops at a supermarket. Now, the question is to whether we need a supermarket inquiry. I kind of think we do. But if you have got a gripe, this is where you head. ACCC.gov.au. If you go just down their front page a little bit, you'll see there's now an inquiry where they want you, the public, to basically fill it. Doesn't matter whether you're a farmer or whether you're a supplier or whether you're actually just a shopper. Go to their survey, fill it in. It will help them actually do the work on this inquiry.
I like it. So we're talking booming prices today, Ross. I spotted something yesterday that mentioned Bitcoin is back, close to an all-time high. I thought it was hot 2 years ago and then it went bust. Is it back?
Well, it did, but it's back now. And there's a couple of reasons for this. Two things are, number one, a whole bunch of exchange-traded funds can now do it. Here it is overnight, up by 1.2%. The record US dollar price for Bitcoin is just under $69,000 US. So it's come back really vigorously. And what's happened is a whole bunch. And here it is over 3 months. Have a look at this. So, you know, it's an astonishing rise over 3 months, 62% that it's had over that time. It's up by $23,000. These are live prices we're seeing. And the reason is these exchange-traded funds like BlackRock, like Fidelity, they've all had to go out there and buy Bitcoin. And there's also another moment in April it's going to come. They're going to halve Bitcoin. And generally that means that they're going to limit the amount of Bitcoin to 21 million around the world so that the supply and demand doesn't get out of whack. And as a result of this, that generally means that the price of Bitcoin rises in advance of that.
Okay, I still don't understand it though. Ross Greenwood, thank you. We'll talk to you again soon.